go take an active role in your community. Go knock on your neighbor's door and say hello, right? Go make those connections. There's a reason why you moved into that neighborhood, or all of the synchronicities happen and you're where you're at right now. It's probably because all of the things you're looking for are probably right next door. So like, go be part of your community. Go be active. That's what everything is missing, right? Like, we all are craving that human connection, wanting to meet good people, right? You don't have to put on a suit and tie and go to a networking event. Like, you can go network on your block, right? So go do that, right? And go just put yourself in someone else's shoes. If someone were to knock on your door and you didn't know them, what would make you want to talk to them? If that's showing up with a pie with free food, you know what I mean? Or like, yo, I just swept the whole block. Like, what's your name? Right? Like, whatever it is that would get you to like, be like, oh, thanks, guy. Like, go bring that, right? Give the love, and then you're going to get that in return. And not going to be, yeah.
What y'all listening to?
Limelight Highlight Podcast.
Welcome back to Limelight Highlight, where we highlight individuals tackling everyday problems you thought couldn't be solved. I'm your host, Jonathan Rosario, and what you just heard is a clip from today's episode where I'm joined by Carlos Aponte. In this episode, Carlos and I covered a ton of topics that consist of a lot of problems that we've kind of both experienced through our lives, and what work he's doing to help solve those problems in a pretty cool and unique way. He's a teacher, he's a mentor, he's an all-around great human being, and he also happens to be the executive director of We Love Philly. For those of you who don't know, We Love Philly is a recognized 501c3 nonprofit organization, and their mission is to empower students with positive community experiences and essential professional skills through mindfulness, volunteerism, entrepreneurship, and content creation. We Love Philly teaches students how to navigate complex emotional stressors, equips them with essential life skills, arranges volunteer experiences to promote community, connects students with local entrepreneurs and business owners to gain expertise, and lastly, helps students to create their own brand. So, needless to say, it's an organization that encompasses everything this podcast stands for and wants to promote. This week's interesting yet sad fact is Philadelphia is the poorest of the largest U.S. cities, with 23.3% of people living in poverty. 1 in 4 families live below the official poverty line, which is another extremely sad fact. But if you don't believe me, check out this clip from about 3 years ago.
New census report out today finds Philadelphia is still the poorest big city in the nation.
The city's poverty rate remained the same in 2016, and the city's median household income was lower in 2016 than in 2015. On average, other big cities saw an increase in incomes, and poverty rates generally declined. The report also stated 1 in 3 Philadelphia children are living in poverty.
Sad news. Even today, in 2021, not much has changed. Philadelphia remains the poorest city, which pretty much trickles down to the education system being very poor. And that's where Carlos and We Love Philly come in. So enjoy this discussion about the birth of We Love Philly, how a teacher created his own curriculum, and how he's helping the youth realize that they can change their future for the better. So please help me in welcoming Carlos Aponte to the podcast. Carlos, appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're a teacher,
Yes.
podcaster,
Yep.
Role model, wear a ton of hats, I'm sure.
I try my best.
For my listeners, give everybody a little feedback on what exactly it is you do.
So currently I am a high school history teacher at One Bright Ray Community High School. So One Bright Ray Community High School services overaged and underaccredited students who are trying to get their high school diploma. So 16 to 21-year-olds, all of them have dropped out of the regular school district and are coming back to get their diploma. That's what I do during the day, and then also during the day and at night, I am the executive director of a nonprofit organization called We Love Philly.
Nice. And We Love Philly is all about Philly,
Yes,
of
yes.
course. You have a podcast with that as well.
Yes.
And explain a little bit more about We Love Philly and what's your mission? What do you guys do?
So with We Love Philly, our mission is to empower our students to take ownership of their environment and what they create. So being a history teacher for the last 7 years, and teaching where I have taught, I noticed that a lot of the students, by the time they get to me at 16, they have lost faith in the educational system itself, right? You go through school day in, day out. You might not know how to read. You might have had bad teachers. You might have had bad experiences. And now you got to go back to it Monday through Friday every single day, right? Imagine if you don't like it, right? We complain about going to work on a Monday. Imagine you're a teenager, right? And through 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you have to go to this place where you don't feel like there's a lot of value. So to solve that, right, I started to take the students outside of the classroom and into the community and trying to figure out a way to make the community the classroom, right? All of our favorite days growing up were when we went on those trips, right? Like you remember the trips. You had good times on the trips. You opened up, right? You
remember the smells, all the experiences.
Yes. That change of the environment is very, very useful when you're trying to help people out of a traumatic situation, which a lot of our students, right, if you don't know how to read, the classroom can become traumatic because you're expected to know something growing up your whole life you don't know. So now when you get called on to read, it's like you might as well be talking to a million people, right?
Oh, yeah. Public speaking, like all those things that people experience that are terrible.
Yes. So once I started taking the students out of the classroom, I started to notice that they were opening up. They were becoming, they were letting their guard down, right? They were willing to trust one another and trust me. So once I started to do that, I said, oh, okay, well, this is the solution. Like, I don't want to just be teaching history anymore. I don't want to be teaching inside of a classroom. We've all grown up and said, why doesn't high school teach this? Why don't we learn about this? Why can't we do this? Why is this system over 100 years old and no one's doing anything about it? Yeah. So hearing that my whole life, and honestly being in school my whole life, right? Like grade school, high school, college, and now I've taught for the last 7 years. I was like, well, I guess I'm like as experienced as anyone else in the whole school game to try to do it differently. So that's how We Love Philly was born. It was just taking students out into the community, taking them to volunteer, watching them interact with one another and interact with the people we were volunteering with. And the cool thing when you volunteer and you're working with nonprofit organizations is that everyone that works there is like an angel, right?
Yeah.
They're all excited to see the students. They're all like, oh my God, when I was a teenager, I wasn't doing this. You couldn't catch me volunteering. And they're like, they treat the students like they're, like God's walking. And they're
it's a new wave.
Yeah, exactly. They're super excited to see them. And once I saw that, I said, all right, so we got to figure out a way, right? Not just volunteering, but you're getting so much from these organizations. We got to do something for them. And then our motto was kind of born. It was give love, get love. So when we did our first volunteer event, really first one where I started to really take it serious, we volunteered for the organization. We had a GoPro that the students were like videotaping the whole experience, and then we sat down with Art Sphere Incorporated. That's our first one. Shout out to Kristen over there, executive director. Grovewald. You might have to cut that out. I don't think I said her name right. But she came in. She was our first podcast interview, and then when we had all of this content, I was like, okay, right? Like everyone's making content right now. All the social media is blowing up. I need to teach these skills, kind of like what Hakeem was saying out there. I have to teach these skills to the students so they can be prepared for what is coming, right? There are no gatekeepers anymore. There is no, I need to get on this television station. You can create your own television station, right?
100%.
Yeah, all you need is that little niche market. So now this is something that students can take ownership of, right? You're hosting the podcast. You're creating the video. These skills are transferable immediately. Especially with the older generation who doesn't know how to do any of this stuff, right? If you know how to do this, this is going to help you down the line more so than me telling you, like, history is important, but some of it, you're not going to remember it unless you're really, really interested in it. This, you're going to remember. It's happening in real life. So We Love Philly grew from that, getting them out into the community, letting them see that they can actually take control of the environment, and letting them see that just them making these types of moves as teenagers is actually so powerful that it can impact adults who in a teenager's minds are stuck in their ways. But when they're interacting with these different adults and they're praising them and they're like, oh my God, I wish I was like you. And these teenagers are like, what? Like, I don't want to be me sometimes. Right.
Yeah.
And then they have these adults saying that to them. It really like, it gets ingrained in their brain. So yeah, We Love Philly currently, if we're fast forwarding right now, it has grown. It is a class that students can take as part of the curriculum at school. So if they take We Love Philly,
amazing.
Yeah, thank you. If they take We Love Philly, they get a credit towards their high school diploma, and it happens first, second, third period. I would like to say we're still teaching that entrepreneurship subject, but what we're really focusing on, and it's one of my favorite things, is that social and emotional learning, right? It's very hard to learn anything if you don't know who you are, right? You're doing a 61-day challenge, right? At the end of the 75,
yeah.
You're doing this 75-day challenge. At the end of that 75, you're going to be like, all right, this is what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
You're tapping into what you're capable of on an emotional level when you have to show that discipline to not touch that piece of pizza, right?
Let me tell you, man, it's real difficult.
That conversation is between you and you, right? And if we can start to help students realize their limitless potential, and everything really is about you versus that little voice inside of your head, if you can learn that as a teenager, and you can find that discipline, then that's going to transfer to when you are creating this content, when you're starting your podcast, when you're doing whatever it is you want to do. But that's not taught in high school, right? Some parents,
those are more life skills that you got to find out through experience.
Yes, and it's even harder for young people in Philly because a lot of times their parents haven't figured out who they are yet. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
Yeah. So where are they supposed to learn it from? So I just do my best to fail as many times as possible for them, and then I figure out what not to do and what to do, and then I bring that into the curriculum and teach it to them. So, yeah.
Speaking about failing and you teaching all these kids the things that most adults, when we get older, haven't been taught. Let's just kind of backtrack a little bit to your childhood and what was that like? What happened in your life shaped you to be the person you are today that made you want to be a teacher? Like, and what are some of the things that you growing up as a kid that you remember has changed rather than, from how it's changed today from how you teach the kids and how that culture is?
So growing up, I had, especially just like in the really, really early years, it was very, very turbulent. I didn't notice it. I don't think you ever notice it when you're going through it. It's not really until you have those soul-searching moments. You're like, oh, that's why I'm so defensive, right? That's why that's why I act like that. Oh, that's why I feel like I can't. Yeah. So I was born. It's so funny you asked this because I was trying to figure out what time I was born last week, but I was born in Northeast Hospital, right up the street in Allegheny, or down the street. I guess we're at 19. Down the street. And
well, they say down north. And
north
is up. So,
so yeah, I was born right around the corner from where we are right now, and I grew up in Kensington with my mom, and I vaguely remember my dad. And then at about 3 or 4, my mom couldn't take care of us anymore, and at the time I didn't know why. And my dad, he legit has dedicated his whole life to taking care of family. You're Puerto Rican, right? Like,
yeah.
That's
the culture.
Yeah, exactly. So he took care of my grandma. My aunt is mentally challenged. She can't live on her own. So he's taking care of both of them my whole life. It was why my mom and dad weren't together, because he just like didn't have time for mom. So we had to go live with my grandma. And my grandmom, it was like a terror. Like legit. Just now looking back on it, you're like, oh, that's where all the trauma came from on that side of the family. Like she just passed it down. But yeah, we moved with her with 4. Immediately got put on ADHD medication.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're way easier to take care of when you're just like zombied out. So it was me and my little brother. She also took care of my older brother, my half brother. So like she had all the boys. So we were all on Ritalin. And from like 4 to 8, I lived with my grandma and just like zombified. Like, like come home. Like I did fine in school, but come home, right? Power Rangers are on, watch cartoons for like 9 hours